You think love is about sweet words, romantic dinners, and constant reassurance. No, sometimes love doesn't come wrapped in roses, it comes wrapped in silence. Sometimes the person who loves you the most is the one who pulls away the hardest, and it hurts. It confuses you. You start asking yourself, if they love me, why do they vanish? Why do they seem cold? Why do they run the second I get close? Here's the truth nobody tells you. Avoidants rarely say, I love you, in the way you expect. They don't give you the fairy tale. They don't follow the script. They show love in ways that almost feel like rejection. And if you don't understand it, you'll misread it, walk away, and miss the depth of a love that is terrified of being exposed. Avoidants don't show love in ways the movies taught you. They show it in ways that test your patience, your faith, and your understanding. But make no mistake, when an avoidant loves you, you'll feel it not in the obvious moments, but in the cracks between their fear. And if you look close enough, you'll see the truth in their actions. The silent sacrifices, the hidden protections, the subtle ways they keep you close without letting you know. If you've ever been with someone who hides their heart behind walls, this is for you. Here's how avoidants silently scream, I love you, and why it's often in the most painful ways. There's a moment in every avoidant's heart when love crosses a line. It's not a line you can see, but they feel it like an alarm. The more they start to care, the louder that alarm rings. To you, it looks like rejection. To them, it's survival. They've learned somewhere along the way that closeness leads to pain. That opening up means losing control. And so the second they realize you've become important, truly important, they create space. It's not because they don't want you. It's because they want you too much. That scares them. You're not just someone in their life. You're someone who could hurt them in ways no one else could. They pull back to protect themselves from the very thing they crave. It's like watching someone standing in the doorway of a burning house. They can feel the warmth calling them in, but all they can think about is the possibility of being burned alive. You might feel like you're being punished for being loved. You'll ask yourself, what did I do wrong? But the truth is you did everything right. You became meaningful. And for an avoidant, that's both the dream and the nightmare. Their silence, their distance, their sudden coolness. It's the language of fear disguised as detachment. But here's the part most people miss. They still keep you within reach. They may not call every day. They may seem preoccupied, but they never fully let go. They linger in your orbit. They watch from afar, making sure you're okay. This is their way of saying, I care, without having to say it out loud. Their distance isn't a wall to shut you out. It's a shield to protect themselves from the vulnerability they're terrified to face. So when they step back, it's not always the beginning of the end. Sometimes it's the beginning of a deeper truth, a truth where love exists alongside fear, and the battle inside them is between the desire to hold you and the instinct to protect themselves from you. There's a moment in every avoidant's heart when love crosses a line. It's not a line you can see, but they feel it like an alarm. The more they start to care, the louder that alarm rings. To you, it looks like rejection. To them, it's survival. They've learned somewhere along the way that closeness leads to pain. That opening up means losing control. And so the second they realize you've become important, truly important, they create space. It's not because they don't want you. It's because they want you too much. That scares them. You're not just someone in their life. You're someone who could hurt them in ways no one else could. They pull back to protect themselves from the very thing they crave. It's like watching someone standing in the doorway of a burning house. They can feel the warmth calling them in, but all they can think about is the possibility of being burned alive. You might feel like you're being punished for being loved. You'll ask yourself, what did I do wrong? But the truth is, you did everything right. You became meaningful. And for an avoidant, that's both the dream and the nightmare. Their silence, their distance, their sudden coolness. It's the language of fear disguised as detachment. But here's the part most people miss. They still keep you within reach. They may not call every day. They may seem preoccupied, but they never fully let go. They linger in your orbit. They watch from afar, making sure you're okay. This is their way of saying, I care, without having to say it out loud. Their distance isn't a wall to shut you out. It's a shield to protect themselves from the vulnerability they're terrified to face. So when they step back, it's not always the beginning of the end. Sometimes it's the beginning of a deeper truth, a truth where love exists alongside fear, and the battle inside them is between the desire to hold you and the instinct to protect themselves from you. An avoidant might disappear from your messages, but don't think for a second they've stopped paying attention. They could be scrolling through your posts late at night, checking your updates, or quietly noticing the changes in your life without leaving a single like or comment. They become invisible observers, standing in the shadows but keeping you in their sightline. It's their way of staying connected without risking exposure. They know if they reach out, their guard will drop. They know if they hear your voice, that tight control they've worked so hard to maintain will weaken. So they keep their distance while still ensuring they're close enough to know you're okay. This silent watchfulness is not indifference. It's a protective instinct. It's the equivalent of standing outside someone's window in the rain just to make sure the lights are still on inside, and they notice everything. The subtle sadness in your tone when you post a photo. The excitement in your eyes when you've accomplished something. The shift in your patterns that tells them you're not okay, even if you tell the world you are. They see it, they feel it, and they carry it. They might not step in right away, but they store these moments inside, because one day, when it matters, they'll show up and you'll wonder how they knew. The truth is, avoidants are highly attuned to the people they love, even if they don't admit it. Their silence doesn't mean they're not listening. Their absence doesn't mean they're not present. They simply operate in a way that keeps their heart safe, but their eyes and mind are locked on you in ways you may never realize. Sometimes, the most profound acts of love happen in the quiet, in the unseen moments when someone is making sure you're safe without ever asking for credit. That's the avoidance way. They may not stand in the spotlight with you, but they'll always be in the crowd, watching, hoping you're okay, and loving you in ways that leave no public trace. You might think your words go in one ear and out the other. You might believe they weren't listening when you told them about your favorite song, the coffee you love, or that childhood story that shaped who you are. But here's the thing about avoidance. They store details like rare treasures. Even when they act distracted, they're cataloging moments. Months later, when they send you that song out of the blue, or bring you the exact brand of tea you mentioned once in passing, you'll realize they were always listening. These small acts are their love letters. They might never write them down, but they're etched into every seemingly random gesture. Why? Because remembering is safe. Remembering allows them to connect without needing to expose themselves emotionally in a direct way. It's their subtle rebellion against their own fears. A way to show you that you matter without having to say the words they're afraid to speak. And when life gets hard for you, they'll recall the little things that comfort you. They'll remember how you like your blanket folded, the way you take your coffee when you're stressed, the exact words that made you laugh on your worst day. These aren't accidents. They're deliberate acts of care that come from paying closer attention than you think. So when you think they don't notice you, think again. Avoidants may not announce their love, but they engrave it in the fine print of your shared history. You just have to be willing to read between the lines. An avoidant might vanish in everyday moments, but when life hits you hard, they appear. The call you didn't expect, the doorbell ringing when you're at your lowest, the text that says, "I'm outside." It might not be poetic, it might not be wrapped in declarations, but it's real. When the chips are down, they override their fear because your pain matters more. They might not know what to say, but they'll be there to hold the pieces with you. They'll sit in silence, drive you where you need to go, or just stand beside you so you don't face it alone. This is one of the purest forms of love they can offer, because it costs them something. It forces them to step into vulnerability, to risk being pulled deeper into emotional waters they usually avoid. And yet, they do it, not for everyone, only for the ones who've broken through their armor. Sometimes, love doesn't mean pulling you closer. It means keeping you far enough away so you don't get caught in their storm. Avoidants often carry an inner world full of unfinished wounds, unresolved fears, and moments they'd rather you never see. When they love you, Part of them wants to let you in, but another part knows it could hurt you. So they put up walls. They make excuses. They cancel plans. They withdraw without explanation. On the surface, it feels like rejection. Deep down, it's an act of protection. They're thinking, if you really knew what I carry, you wouldn't look at me the same. And so, instead of risking your disappointment, they keep you safe from the chaos they believe would scare you away. You may never realize how many times they've bitten back words they wanted to say. How many times they've stopped themselves from telling you the truth about their struggles. How many times they've chosen silence, not because they didn't trust you, but because they didn't want to burden you. It's a paradox. They keep you out to keep you close. You'll feel the distance, but you won't see the quiet decisions they make every day to ensure you're not pulled into the depths of their storms. They'll take the hit themselves rather than let you get hurt. That's not indifference. That's love in the most self-sacrificial, misunderstood form. An avoidant may never look you in the eye and ask, will you stay no matter what? Instead, they'll create situations to find out without asking. They might pull away suddenly just to see if you chase. They might become distant, waiting to see if you lose interest. They'll go silent, wondering if you'll still be there when they return. It's not manipulation in the cruel sense. It's fear disguised as caution. They've been let down before. They've seen love vanish when they showed their truest self. So now they need proof, not in words, but in actions. They want to know, if I'm not easy to love, will you still love me? The hard part is, they'll never tell you they're doing this. They can't admit they're testing you because that would mean admitting how much your loyalty matters. But when they see you still standing there after the storm, something shifts inside them. They might not say it, but they start to trust. And for an avoidant, trust is the rarest, most guarded gift they can give. When avoidants reach a breaking point, they may step away, not because they've stopped loving you, but because the intensity feels like too much to handle. They'll let you go, sometimes without a fight, because fighting would mean tearing down walls they're not ready to face. But inside, they're hoping you'll understand, hoping you'll come back when the air is clearer. They'll watch from a distance, resisting the urge to call, to text, to beg. It's not pride. It's fear of being too much or not enough. And while they give you space, their heart remains tethered to yours, quietly waiting for the day you return. This is one of the most painful ways they love, by letting go when every part of them wants to hold on. To you, it might look like indifference. To them, it's survival wrapped in longing. When an avoidant truly loves you, they will, little by little, hand you fragments of themselves that no one else has ever seen. A memory from their childhood they swore they'd never tell anyone. A fear they've never spoken out loud. A dream they've kept locked away. These moments may be rare, but they are monumental, because each one is a piece of their armor being set aside. They're saying, here, this is part of me I've never trusted the world with, but I trust you. You might miss the significance if you're not paying attention. You might think it's just a casual conversation, but for them, it's an act of bravery. It's a crack in the walls that have stood for years. And every time they let you in like this, it's proof that you've reached a place in their heart no one else has touched. They may never say, I love you, outright, but in those moments, they're showing it louder than words ever could. When you love an avoidant, you have to understand something most people never will. Their love is not loud, but it's real. It's not wrapped in constant, I miss you messages or overflowing affection. It's built quietly in the shadows, in moments that don't look like love until you step back and see the bigger picture. Their love is not easy, but it's deep. And deep love often hides in strange, uncomfortable places. They have learned to survive in ways that keep their heart protected. And you, if you're in their life, are walking into a fortress. Not everyone gets past the gates. If you're inside, you're there because they chose you, because despite their fear, they let you close enough to matter. That in itself is a miracle. You are holding something rare, the trust of someone who doesn't trust easily. You may feel frustrated, confused, even hurt by the way they show love. You might wish they could be more open, more direct, more like the people in love stories you've seen. But if you can see past the surface, if you can recognize the love in their sacrifices, their quiet presence, their subtle acts, you will discover a connection that is more powerful than grand gestures could ever give you. The truth is, avoidants love with their actions more than their words. They love in the way they remember the little details, in the way they show up when you're broken, in the way they let you go, but still hold you in their heart. They love in the pieces they give you, pieces no one else has ever touched. This is not a weakness. It's a language, a love language that speaks in silence and subtlety, but carries a weight words can't match. And yes, it can be painful. Loving someone who loves this way requires patience, understanding, and a willingness to see what others overlook. But the reward is a love that's been fought for, a love that's been chosen, not just felt in passing. It's the kind of love that stays even when it doesn't speak. So if you have someone like this in your life, don't underestimate it. Don't throw it away because it doesn't look like what you expected. Love isn't always about being swept off your feet. Sometimes it's about being quietly held when no one else is looking. Sometimes it's about knowing that even in their silence, they are screaming your name inside. This is the love of an avoidant. Messy, complex, frustrating, beautiful. And if you learn to see it for what it is, not for what it's missing, you will realize you've been given something rare, something worth holding on to, something worth understanding. Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving your time, your attention, and your heart to hear these words. I don't take that lightly, because your time is the most valuable thing you have, and you chose to spend it here with me. If something in this message spoke to you, if you felt seen, understood, or even just a little less alone, that's not an accident. That's because you are part of a community of people who feel deeply, who care deeply, and who are searching for truth in a world that often gives us illusions instead. I want you to know you are not invisible. Your experiences, your heartbreaks, your victories, your quiet resilience, they matter. And they matter here. This is a space where your story is welcome, where your pain is honored, and where your strength is celebrated, even if you don't see it yet. If this video gave you something valuable, a new perspective, a moment of clarity, a feeling that you're not walking through this alone, then stay connected. Hit that subscribe button, because this is not the end of the conversation, it's just the beginning. We're building something here. A place where truth is spoken, where hearts are understood, and where you are reminded of your worth over and over again. Share this message with someone who needs to hear it. You never know whose life could shift with just a few words at the right time. And remember, no matter how complicated love gets, no matter how many walls people build, there is always a way to understand it if you're willing to look closer. From my heart to yours. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and thank you for being exactly who you are. Until next time, take care of your heart, protect your peace, and never forget, you are worth the love you're searching for.